After a season full of ups and downs, the Dallas Mavericks finished the year with 50 wins and ended up dominating the competition in the Western Conference, making it all the way to the finals, where they would come up short, losing to the Celtics in 5 games. The Mavs definitely have some room for improvement in this upcoming offseason. What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose, and the Mavericks just got eliminated from the NBA playoffs, losing in the finals in 5 games. And I think there are some players that could absolutely help the Mavericks in this upcoming season that they could pick up this offseason. Let's get into it. Over 90% of the people that watch my content are not subscribed, so if you're messing with the videos, please hit that sub button and the noti bell so you'll get notified every time I upload. But let's get back to the hoops. For starters, I do have a very loose criteria for what I think the Mavericks should go after in the offseason, and they absolutely need another ball handler, whether that be a wing player that can alleviate some of the pressure off of Luka and Kyrie, or a 6-man guard that can come off the bench while one of those two guys isn't playing and bring some production. There just needs to be somebody that can handle the ball. I think teams being able to just have a game plan of let Luka and Kyrie beat us or just get the ball out of their hands is just a little bit too much of a cop-out. I feel like if we have an extra ball handler to take some of the pressure off, that would absolutely be monumental for this team. Next up is 3-point shooting. We have a lot of fake shooters on this team. I'm looking at you, PJ Washington. Players that can only shoot from one spot on the floor, i.e. just the corners. I think we need players that can shoot from the top of the key. The wings can maybe hit some pull-ups from time to time. I don't think it's good enough having players that can only shoot from one spot or just are inconsistent overall. And lastly, we need defenders. I've seen Maverick teams year after year with guys that just keep getting blown by, who don't really have a lot of defensive IQ or don't put in a lot of effort, and I'm tired of seeing that. If you're going to be a role player on the squad, we need some defenders. I have a list of players that I think are really attainable that we could get, and the players that I'm hopeful. A really big reach to get some of these guys. I'm going to start with the hopeful guys because I think that's just a more fun way to start the video. I really like Mikal Bridges. I think Mikal Bridges would literally just be an upgrade over DJJ, slide into that spot and more or less do the same thing. And I also think Mikal Bridges, he can put the ball on the floor if need be. Mikal Bridges is a really good 3-point shooter, so he would really slide into this offense very well. We've seen him as a role player on the Phoenix Suns, and I think that's where he's best used. I think as a third option, Mikal Bridges would be a really good player, and I'm not sure why the Nets are so gung-ho about keeping him as their number 1 option. And that's why he's a hopeful, because there's no shot the Nets are giving him up. For whatever reason, they really want Mikal Bridges to be their guy, and they've already declined a platoon of picks for Mikal Bridges, and I think there's offers that are better than anything we could give them, and they've declined those, so I don't think there's a real shot we get Mikal Bridges. Another guy I don't think we really have a shot at is Kyle Kuzma. There was rumors about Kyle Kuzma wanting to stay in Washington. We tried to trade for him this season already, and it didn't really work out, so I'm not sure if Kyle Kuzma is really on the cards, but in terms of ball handling, he can definitely put the ball on the floor, create his own shot, and that definitely would alleviate a lot of the pressure off of Luka and Kyrie. Not the greatest 3-point shooter. He averaged around 36% on the Lakers, but as a Wizard, he's around more 33-34, which is around where PJ's at, so I don't think it would be a huge upgrade from a 3-point shooting standpoint, but I know Kuzma can lock in on defense, and he can absolutely create his own shot, so that would be a pretty decent pickup in my opinion. Lastly, we have Paul George, and I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Obviously, I think if Paul George were to get to this roster some way, somehow, we'd automatically be a title contender again. I think that would just be one of the craziest big threes in the league, considering we have Luka and Kyrie, and then you add another guy who's an amazing ball handler, can create his own shot. He can be very effective without the ball in his hand, so a lot of catch and shoot opportunities. Paul George shoots 40% from 3, so I'm very sure if we had Paul George as a catch and shoot guy and a guy to alleviate pressure as a third option, that Paul George would be immaculate. I'm not gonna fully doubt it because, you know, we have Kyrie Irving, but I don't think it's very likely that ends up happening. I think he's probably going to go to Philly. Now to get into the players that I think we can actually get, I'm going to start off with the guards. I think for starters, my brother brought this point up. I think Lonzo Ball would be a very interesting guy. Basing it off of what we've seen from Lonzo Ball the last time he was on the court, I think that would probably be the perfect pick. Lonzo can come in, he has the ball handling, he has the playmaking ability, he has the defense, and he has the shooting, so that would literally be everything that I think we need in a player in one package. So Lonzo Ball, if he were to be the same player that he was before the injuries, which is a really big if. We haven't seen him play since 2021, so we don't really know what Alonzo Ball would look like come 2024, 2025, but let's assume that it's the same Lonzo Ball we saw last time he was on the court. He's averaging 13 points, 2 steals, and 42% from 3. So I think that covers pretty much all of the bases of my criteria, and that would make for a great pick. But like I said, it's very up in the air whether Lonzo would come in and be the same as before. But his teammate, Alex Caruso, I think would be an awesome pickup, and I really do think that the Bulls should be more of a thrift shop in this upcoming offseason, considering they suck and they have a lot of decent pieces that I think could do well on other teams, and they could really stack up on assets and picks this season. So I think they should really start to tank, blow it up. But back to Caruso, he averaged 10 points, 40% from 3, and also had 2 steals of his own. I think Alex Caruso fits that mold of a Derek White-ish type player, and any team in the NBA, if given the opportunity, I feel like should trade for a player like that, and especially this roster. Like I said, he has the defense, has the shooting. I don't think he really has the ball handling ability that I'm quite looking for, but he definitely does have the ability to put it on the floor every now and then, and I think Alex Caruso would be a very welcome addition. Very underrated kind of player. I don't think this player is on a lot of people's radar. Utah Jazz guard Colin Sexton. I'm not sure the Utah Jazz are really looking to trade a lot of people. I'm not really sure what they're looking to do, honestly. I think the Utah Jazz are a team that's pretty much in no man's land. But Colin Sexton averaged 19 points on 39% from 3 last season, and literally that would be a great 6-man. That he would slide into that 6-man spot, provide the ball handling, provide some scoring, provide some 3-point shooting, and the only thing that would be a question mark would be the defense. But I think Colin Sexton, especially in a role where he doesn't really have to carry too much of a load, he's not expected to do a whole lot. I'm not expecting Colin Sexton to come off the bench and average a 20 points, maybe around 15-16 on some good efficiency, and you can focus on defense. I think if he puts the effort in, he can definitely be a great defender, especially in a system with other great defenders on the team. I think that would be a really good pickup. Now to get into some bigs that I really would like. I think Jerami Grant is a guy that really would fit this roster really nicely. Averaged 21 points on 40% from 3. He's on the Portland Trailblazers that don't really fit his timeline right now. Jerami Grant, I think, is 28, and that team is super duper young, and they're clearly on a rebuild, so I don't think he really will stay there regardless. I think if we can get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr., free up some cap space, we can possibly bring that guy over here. And like I said, he can score the ball. He can score the ball. He can shoot really well. If we need him to put the ball on the floor, he can put the ball on the floor. That'll be an automatic upgrade at the power forward position, and he has the athleticism to be a real lob threat with our 2 playmakers. So I think that would also be a perfect fit. I think it would give us some extra size. We could slide PJ Washington up to the 3 spot, maybe put him at the 4, have D-Live and Gaff at our 5, and I think that would really be awesome for us to do. Another player that kind of fits that same mold is Trey Murphy. I think it would be a lot harder to get Trey Murphy considering how old he is. I don't think the Pelicans would just give him up for nothing, but to be honest, I'm willing to give up a decent amount of pieces to get Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy is 23 years old, so being that he is a young guy and he does fit the criteria of what this team needs, I would be willing to give up a couple of pieces for Trey Murphy. I think that he would fit really perfectly into this team. 15 points on 38% from 3. His volume would go up with us. He'd get a lot more open looks from our playmakers as well. I think he also has the athleticism to be a lob threat and play some pretty decent defense. Another guy that really does fit this team very well. I think the Mavericks are looking for a lot of specific things and players that do more or less the same stuff on different levels, you know what I'm saying? There's obviously lesser guys that we could go for, like a Chris Dunn, that could also fit some of the criteria, but I think we do really need some up there kind of role players, or if not a 3rd star. I think if we can get some pretty decent role players, we'll be in a good spot going into next season. And also I think another thing that's interesting is that we have a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that I think can possibly make huge leaps. Like Derek Lively next season has the potential to be really good. I don't know what that 1-3 in game 4 was about, but his form looked really nice, and apparently he was a pretty decent shooter at Duke, so who knows what that could turn into. Maybe D-Live could turn into a stretch big in the future, who knows. We also got Jaden Hardy, who honestly, if things go correctly, I think Jaden Hardy is like an offseason or 2 away from really being that 3rd ball handler that we could use off the bench. But as of right now, I don't think his decision making is there. And I think his shooting just needs to be a little bit better. But if he can get those things down pat, honestly, those are IQ things, and just working on that jump shot. If Jaden Hardy could progress well in the offseason, that could honestly alleviate some of those issues. Like I said, we got a really nice young team. So if we can get some progression in the offseason, I think that could also help us very, very much. And we might not have to really make any huge deals or get rid of any pieces, to be honest. But we'll only see with time. I think the guys that I listed today in this video would be great additions to this team. And I would like to see any of those guys join the roster, some more than others. Hopefully, my GM continues to be a miracle worker, because hey, we got this far with him making some very good trades. PJ, Gaff, Kyrie, all of that. So I'm very hopeful this offseason that we can make some moves, get even better, and return back to the finals next season. Catch you on the next one.